Welcome, Virgo, to your June Moon Magic Deep Dive forecast for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. We've got 4 lunations through the month of June, but right at the end of May, the full moon in Sagittarius provides a backdrop for the first half of the new month. I'm going to unpack all of that from a Virgo perspective. The moon, very much about nurture, protectiveness, security, our deeper emotions, where we live, who, with, and how, and our family interactions, very much that lunar perspective. By the end of the video, in terms of your energy, work, relationships, or finances, you'll have a view of what June holds in store for you. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. So as we come into this new month, on the screen, Virgo, is the Sagittarius blue moon. So the moon for you is in the fourth house, very much to do with those lunar energies, protectiveness, security. Sagittarius, however, is very much a freedom seeker, whether it's in terms of emotional or physical space. So as you go into the month, if all the energy that's going on as far as you connect to the world at large through your work, your responsibilities, obligations, or even ambitions need to be working in harmony with the base of your situation. So if you're thrusting hard to seize a golden prize, but not spending much time resting and recuperating, or taking people at the very root of your world, perhaps a little for granted. That could be the people providing your support. That could show up over the first couple of weeks. But equally, if you're not enjoying the atmosphere within your job or the changes at work that are being imposed upon you, perhaps through technology, with Uranus right in the most visible part, that's making you feel unsettled, totally understandable. Sagittarius can be a truth seeker and speaker, however, but it's Mars in the ninth house of your chart, very much to do with freedom and independence. Linking back to that moon is saying if you're in a situation you're not enjoying, Mars is pushing you to have the confidence to change it. But Saturn, the planet which is very much to do with life's hard lessons and karma, and at times can create resistance, is also in a tough right angle to Venus, the planet of money and relating as we go into this month. So that's something just to be mindful of. However, if we go through to the 8th of the month, we have the first of the 2 quarter moons. It's in your opposite sign of Pisces, which for you is very much about relationships. They're that seventh house. But the square with the sun suggests however much you try to lean into, or the line manager or a boss may want, and however diplomatic you are, it may not seem to get recognized as much as it should, which could be really frustrating. In a personal context, if you and a partner want different things in terms of property, success, material outcomes of a relationship, that could show up as well too. What we do have at that point, however, is a stunning alliance between Venus and Jupiter, which peaks on the ninth. We had it briefly last year. It is a very rare alliance. We've got the 2 planets of fortune coalescing in the part of your scope, very much to do with your friendships. And who, as much as what you know, could be important if you're not enjoying that professional situation and you're looking for different opportunities. That brings us through to the very heart of the month, the new moon in the sparkling sign of Gemini. If you have gone through some bumpiness and you're thinking about reorientating in a different direction, pitching for a new job, applying or presenting, or trying to raise the profile of your own existing enterprise, it's a terrific new moon. Not because the moon itself is influential in Gemini, it's very quick-witted and convivial. It's actually in peregrine in a more emotional sense, doesn't quite know what to do with itself. But it is forging a stunning angle to Mars and also Jupiter in a semi-sextile. So again, that theme of who as much as what you know, but also with Mars being open to change things up and not just stick to what you know, can help to reboot and reset your connection to the world in a really impressive and helpful way. But Pluto, for the last couple of years, has been nudging you to think about the evolution that's going on in your daily routines. Uranus, right at the top of the chart, linking with Pluto as we go into the back end of the year. That aspect is really powerful. And maybe at times for all of us, just accepting that some kind of alteration with all the technology, robotics, and automation that's coming in will help us to then flex into a readjustment that much quicker. And that, I think, is the opportunity as well on that lunation. But that brings us to the next and final quarter moon of the month. It's actually in Libra. Libra's very much about balance. And for you, it's very much about your values and self-worth. But the sun having moved into the sign of Cancer, very much about your connections, your network, your social interaction. But it's also saying to you, you need to be very realistic about your approach to finances. It just so happens that this arrival of the sun on the back of the solstice also links fabulously well to Chiron. Briefly, of having moved into the sign of Taurus for 3 months from the 19th. And it may be that if change has been a bit of an anathema for you, Chiron can just give you some gentle encouragement over the next 3 months to really go with it. But for sure, if you are being more entrepreneurial, I think that the moon squaring off with the sun there is saying, don't jump in without doing your usual very careful analysis. That brings us through to the last lunation of the month, which is the Capricorn full moon. The moon in Capricorn is really quite tender. It's not its best location. It's in detriment because the sign of Capricorn, like yours, an earth sign, deals in practical, functional reality. So the moon here wants to know where it stands in terms of feeling secure, in terms of what we earn, uh, things much more clarified, not so ephemeral, not so emotional even. But for you, the moon on that lunation is actually in your fifth house, which can be about joyfulness. So if you're in a situation with the sun in the 11th house, but also Mercury and Jupiter coming together quite magnificently as we come to the end of the month, that social situation can really be picking up. But the moon in your fifth house just reminds you to just ask yourself the question, are you comfortable with that? What you do get beyond that Mercury-Jupiter conjunction, which is terrific, is a tremendous conjunction between Mars and Uranus right at the end of the month. Mars moving into the sign of Gemini on the 28th. And if things have been bumpy around your professional situation, that conjunction really asks you to go for it and be as bold as possible. And if it does mean doing something that's completely different for you, do have the confidence to try. As the month comes to a close also, and on the 29th, not only do we have that full moon, Mercury, your ruler, goes retrograde, but it is softened by that conjunction with Jupiter. But what we also have on the 30th is Jupiter moves into Leo. So over the next 13 months, you're going to find that diving deep into the more spiritual and healing dimension is going to be a big part of your journey. You may also find yourself much more interested in different forms of faith, not necessarily traditional faiths, more developing your own hybrid if you like. So I'm going to just give you an overview and then summarize those 4 areas. So the overview for you, Virgo, if we go right back to the start of the month, there's a lot of action around your work, ambitions, and goals through the first 21 days of the month. And the moon isn't really so much about those areas. The moon's much more about how you feel. So whatever you're doing to be more dynamic, whether it's professionally in your own business, whether it's locally in your community, voluntary work, whatever you're doing, ask yourself this question through those first 2/3 of the month. It's something we should all do really all the time, but particularly at this time, does it feel right? Am I comfortable with whatever changes that are coming in? And Mars in your ninth house at the start of the month is pushing you to have the confidence to change things if you're not enjoying the status quo. And in terms of from the 21st onwards, a more sociable dimension does start to pick up, but there are opportunities for that all of June, to be honest. And it may be a case of who as much as what you know, as far as making progress in your worldly ambitions. So I'm going to summarize those four areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances next. Just to say first, I've reduced the price of my personal horoscope reports. For many years, it's been buy two, get 30% off. Because of the cost of living increases, I've reduced it. It's now buy one, get three. The one you pay for is your life roadmap report, helps us to understand the patterns that play out in our lives, get a clearer understanding of those and how to work with them future forwards. Free, your 12 months transit forecast, but also your draconic soul karmic analysis. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch your June monthly forecast, please check that out on the screen. Mars in Taurus, 6-week forecast on the screen. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it'd be an absolute pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. And if you've yet to sign up for your free daily written horoscope, fire to your device each morning for your early day celestial pit stop, you can do so below as well. So if we go right back to the beginning, energy. What's your energy going to be like? I think it's important this month to get some downtime, some moments where you can just cocoon yourself away, hunker down, if you like, and just block out some of those big demands that are going to be developing this month. You may not be able to do it entirely, but just moments of peace and tranquility will really help your energy to stand up. Having Mars, the planet of action, in your ninth house could encourage you to be very active this month and could even get and see you get even fitter, which is good. But again, take it back to how it feels. Because Chiron, the planet very much to do with health and energy, moves into the part of your scope to do with new ideas, be open to different ways of doing things that can help that energy too. As far as your professional situation is concerned, I think it just depends on your unique circumstances, which sounds like a cop out, but it really isn't. If you are up for changing things and you're being very dynamic and fresh in your approach, you could have a sensational breakthrough. If, however, you're sticking to what you've known for a long time, even though you may see that who you work for is bringing in different ways of doing things, the chances are eventually it is going to shift for you personally as well. So I think the trick is really going to be anticipate the direction of travel. If you're lucky enough to be in a job that doesn't have those kind of challenges and you're really happy, why not? As far as your financial situation is concerned, if you are someone who enjoys uh, any kind of speculation, but perhaps in some kind of group dynamic, you put a little bit of money into some kind of pool, and it may be around a lotto or something. Some good fortune could play out for you with that Venus Jupiter conjunction. No doubt about that at all. But just know at the very beginning of this month, if you are thinking of going into business with a friend, Saturn clashing with Venus in your sector of friendship, but Saturn in the eighth house of shared finance is not a good sign. So just be aware of that. Romantically, well, the North Node is in your seventh house, so you're really being pulled towards a relationship situation that has some kind of sense of destiny about it. But just know with Uranus clashing with the nodes throughout this month, the chances are that your work situation is going to interrupt at times with your desire to get your relationship situation working just as so. But if you're not enjoying what you're doing, who you're with at the moment, and you do decide to break free, I think some real social opportunities and therefore relationship opportunities can emerge in the last 10 days of the month. It's been a pleasure being with you, Virgo. All the best for June, and look forward to seeing you again soon.